the lateral upper arm, or proximal lateral upper arm, or lateral shoulder, chromium. There's different variations with different dermatome charts. There's a couple other ones, like if you go on the secure site for ONE2, there's a couple different dermatome charts, and I'll have another one in my car. What some of them have is that it'll pick one little spot that corresponds to a certain dermatome level. So C5 will show like a little dot right here. Now, most of the time, it's going to show a region, but if you had to pick one spot for each dermatome level, like this is going to be C5, C6 is going to be here. But basically, it's going to be starting at the AC joint, down the anterolateral or posterolateral arm to the elbow. Because remember, when you're talking about the upper extremity, this is the arm, this is the forearm. When you're talking about the lower extremity, this is the leg and this is the thigh. And then myotome for C6 is going to be wrist extension. And I think, yeah, so like there, if you have that C6, usually I'll remember it like this. The C6, here's the dermatome, this is the myotome, like that. So basically with wrist extension, you don't have any problem with your wrist, do you? You'd have the person hold up like this, and then again, you're going to give them stimulation. Say, I'm going to press this area here, don't let me move your hair. And you press down like that. Right? I would hold it a little bit longer, and I might press a little bit harder. So it's basically, it's resisted wrist extension. And then the reflex for that is going to be the brachioradialis. So you're going to do it right here. You can do it here, or you can do it here. So you can see the muscle moving there, right? Or here. Here you're kind of more or less tapping on the tendon itself. Here you're more on the muscle belly. Again, it's a flick of the wrist like this. In this case, you're not doing it through your thumb. You're just doing it right on the tendon or the muscle belly. So here, this most commonly it's done this right here. So what you're doing when you do the reflexes, if you hold them, why don't you stand up here? So if you hold the patient like that, you can do all the reflexes in one position. So you go here, here, or you can do it there, and then triceps. Sometimes if you have trouble getting the triceps, you can put it up like this. And then just relax. Okay. So you can get them all from one position. So then do it on the other side. So basically, what you're doing is you're talking about 2 inches proximal to the radial styloid, right there where the tendon of the brachioradialis is. And so then there's the dermatome for C6. You know, it's going to be this area, but it's also here, because it's C5, C6. Because the way you think about it is that when your body's being formed, your limbs start out like little buds. So you have something like this, right? So it comes out like this, so then they're in order. So C5 is going to be more higher up here, C6, then C7, C8, T1. Sometimes T1 here, T2. So just think of it as they're coming out. They start out stacked one on top of each other, and then the fingers kind of grow out through the middle. So then here we've got C6 is wrist extension, brachioradialis, and then lateral forearm and thumb and first finger. And then C7 for the myotome is going to be wrist flexion, and then also the triceps. Okay, so the way you usually remember C7 is like this, right? So it's kind of a 7, wrist flexion and elbow extension. And I don't want to flip you my middle finger to show you what C7 dermatome is, but that's what it is, right? Okay. So you're doing muscle testing, you're either going to resist wrist flexion like this or elbow extension like that. And then triceps reflex, I showed you that, where you hold the arm up like this. You can do it this way, you're tapping here, or if you do that same position where you hold the arm, you're tapping on the proximal to the olecranon. So basically you're tapping in the triceps tendon, okay? And then hopefully everybody has the reflex hammers with them, right? No? Okay. So then here's going to be your C7 dermatomes right there, the middle finger. So also C7 is going to innervate the periosteum of the bone. So they may have some like deep pain throughout the extremity on the bone level. But C7 typically is going to be this dermatome of the skin. Because you also have, and we're not really going to get into it, but you also have sclerotomes. You have dermatomes, myotomes, and sclerotomes. Sclerotomes are more like on a deeper bone level, where you'll see them on charts where it's just the actual drawing of the bone or the skeleton, and they'll show different areas. I'll see if we can find something like that. Okay, so it's in the middle finger, and it goes a little bit into the palm of the hand here. So now C8, with the myotome here, you can remember it as a, if you think of this as a figure 8 from here. So basically it's going to be finger flexion. Okay? And then there's also, I think it's radial deviation and thumb extension, but I'll bring it over. If you just think of finger flexion for C8, you do it that way. So what you're doing is this would be your hand, this would be the patient's hand. You're saying, okay, don't let me move your fingers like that. And we'll practice these. So then C8 dermatome, because again, we're working our way down. We got C5, C6, C7, C8, T1, T2. So C8, now we're coming back up the other side. So it would be the medial forearm. And then also fourth and fifth fingers. But we don't have a reflex for C8. And then T1 myotome is either going to be finger abduction, adduction. So you can have them spread their fingers like that. They don't let me put your fingers together. Or you put a piece of paper between the fingers and say, don't let me pull this apart. And there is no reflex for T1. And then dermatome is going to be up in this area. Sometimes you'll see it either sometimes here or into here. Because what it comes down to with dermatomes is that, not everybody has the exact same dermatome layout. So what you're doing is you're comparing on the patient, you compare it from one side to the other. If you find that they have a decreased sensation and it's on this particular area, that could maybe be C5, C6, so at least kind of a general area of what you're looking at. But again, it's you're comparing one side to the other. So here's one of the other types of dermatome charts. So this shows T2.